Hi, it's me, Ita. I'm the one behind Ita Sewing Patterns, and today we're gonna do a gym bag sewing tutorial. I am so excited and I hope you are as well. So yeah, let's get started. For the gym bag, these are the materials that we will need. For the main fabric, I've chosen this quilted fabric. Then we need interlining fabric, and we'll need, that's gonna be the belts. Two of these metal loops, make sure they fit in the measurement of the belt. And the same with two of these, they also need to fit here. And this will be to make the belt adjustable, so we need one of this. Then we need this bow. And we need zippers. One is 70 centimeters, and we will need two of 30 centimeters. For more detailed requirement of the fabric and how many of what we need, please check the description of the video. You will need sewing pattern. This pattern comes in A4, US letter, and A0 paper sizes. I have printed out mine in A4. What I suggest to do, print out the first page first, check one of these square boxes, and if they match, continue printing out the rest of the pattern. To assemble the pattern simply, you need to cut off the bottom and right side of the pages up till the lines of the rectangles. Continue this process for all of the pattern pages. Each paper size have its own layout. I will be following A4 layout since I printed out my pattern in A4 paper size. The easiest way to assemble the pattern is by placing always first page over the second and then second over the third until the lines of the rectangles. And also here is small circles that can help you to guide you. And I suggest doing row by the row. And then the reason we cut off the bottom of the pages is then after you'll take the first row and place it on top of the second row until the line, so the circles help you, and you will assemble it this way. After you have assembled the pattern, cut out all of the pattern pieces for the gym bag. The gym bag comes only in one size. Now we can move on to cutting out the pattern pieces from the fabric. Each pattern piece will have instructions of how many pieces you need to cut from the main fabric and how many pieces you need to cut from the lining fabric. You don't need to add seam allowance as it's already included. We'll start with the main fabric and then we'll move on to the lining fabric. What is important to remember is for each pattern piece, the letter, to move that onto the fabric. So I'm not going to be able to use designer chalk for this one, so I will just use some paper notes, attach them with the pin to the fabric pieces that match with the pattern pieces. I have finished cutting out the fabric pattern. The pattern piece E is cut out twice from the lining fabric. That's what I have done. I have two pieces here, and we will start working with the pattern piece E. For the fabric pieces E, what we need to do is do the double folded hem at the top of both E pieces. The left side of the fabric is facing me. And you need to stitch with the regular sewing machine stitch. Don't forget to back stitch at the beginning and end. After we have done the double folded hem at the top of the E fabric pieces, what we need to do is change on the sewing machine the stitch length to the widest. For my sewing machine, it's going to be 4 millimeters wide, and stitch the bottom all the way for the E pieces for both of them, leaving long threads at the beginning and end so we can create a ruffle later on. After you have completed this step, stitching wide stitch at the bottom and leaving long threads, what you need to do is fold the E pieces in the half and find the middle at the bottom. The bottom will be where we didn't do the double folded hem. So you can either use designer chalk or the pin to mark the middle. And repeat the same for the other piece. Now that we have found the middle point for both E pieces, we need to do exactly the same for the S fabric pieces that we cut out from interlining fabric as well. Now that we found the middle points for S fabric pieces from the interlining, we need to take the E pieces, and this is the left side. We need to place it with the right side on top of the S and align the middle points. And do the same for the other. So this is the left side, right side facing us. If you like, you can do it with designer chalk. It's gonna be more precise, but this don't have to be perfectly measured. Approximately is gonna do the work as well. Now that we have done this, what we need to do is stitch up till top of the E piece. Here, straight line, and the same for the other piece, straight line. If it's easier for you, you can use a designer chalk. I'm just gonna use some pins as the guideline for myself. So from here till here, and the same from here till here. Now that we have stitched over here, this is how it should look like. And the same we did for the other piece. Now what you need to do is, by pulling one of the threads from the side, you need to gather the ruffle here until it fits here. Now that you have gathered the ruffle, pin it into place here and on the sides as well, and continue doing exactly the same for this side and for the other piece as well. Now that you have completed everything for both pieces, what you can do is stitch with the sewing machine, regular sewing machine stitch here at the bottom and side all around the E piece, and the same for the other, just to secure everything in place. Now that we have completed the S pieces together with E, we can move on to the next step, the interlining fabric piece. And this is the right side of fabric, this is the right side, and that is the right side. And what we need to do is put it like this, pin it, and then stitch it with regular sewing machine stitch. Same here. Put it on top with the right sides facing, pin it, and stitch it there with the regular sewing machine stitch. We can move on to the next step. We need to take a fabric piece from the main fabric and a fabric piece from the interlining fabric. And we need to place right side together with the right side of the fabric. Pin the top together and stitch with the regular sewing machine stitch. Now that this step is complete, what we need to do is unfold it right sides outwards. You can pin interlining fabric exactly at the bottom of main fabric to make this step easier. Now what we need to do after we've pinned it at the bottom, we need to stitch 5mm seam allowance away from top all the way here. We will move on working on C2 pieces, so one from main fabric and one interlining fabric. And then we need as well a zipper, which is 30 centimeters long, regular zipper. We open it up, so this is the right side. So right side of zipper facing the right side of fabric, and we need to align the beginning 1 centimeter away from the side. And we need to stitch as close as possible to the zipper foot, here with the regular sewing machine stitch. We just stitched the zipper to the main fabric. Now what we need to do is take the C2 interlining fabric, place it on top, so pin it into place. And once again you need to stitch here with the regular sewing machine stitch. This is how it should look like after completing the previous step. As you can see, the zipper is beautifully done from one side. Now we need to do exactly the same for the other side of the zipper. And this time we will use C1 pattern pieces. This part can be quite confusing, but as you can see, here's what we just worked on. It's with the left side facing me. Also the zipper is with the left side facing me. The C1 piece is with the right side, main fabric, upwards. And what you need to do is just to sew in the zipper tooth here, 1 centimeter away from the side. And stitch here all the way with the regular sewing machine stitch. We just stitched the zipper to the main fabric. Now what we need to do is take the C1 interlining piece and place it on the top, pin it, and stitch again with the regular sewing machine stitch. Now you can stitch very close to the edge of the main fabric and repeat the same on the other side just to really secure the main and interlining fabric. And what we need to do is now take the bow, it looks like this, and attach it on the top part, so on the shortest part. What I suggest doing is starting with the left side. Firstly, place it here and stitch it from this side, then turn it the other way around, fold it over and stitch it here. Now we can move on to the two pieces, one from the main fabric, one from the interlining fabric. And we need to take the zipper and once again leave 1 centimeter away from the zipper beginning of the tooth and pin it to the main fabric. Now we can go ahead with the regular sewing machine stitch and stitch as close as possible to the zipper teeth. Now we need to take the D2 interlining fabric and place it on top, right sides of the fabrics facing each other, and pin it in the place. Now we need to go with the regular sewing machine stitch and stitch as close as possible to the zipper teeth. And now we need to take D1 of the interlining fabric and D1 of the main fabric. And once again, we need to pin the zipper beginning 1 centimeter away from the side. And just to make sure you have pinned everything correctly, you can kind of close up the zipper to see if this is the way it should be. And we have pinned the zipper correctly. So what we need to do now is go ahead with regular sewing machine stitch and stitch here all the way. Now that this step is done, we need to take D1 interlining fabric, right sides of the fabric facing each other, place it on the top, pin it and stitch it with the sewing machine. Now what we need to do is stitch as close as possible to the edge of the main fabric, just to really secure the interlining and main fabric in the place. So we do it here all the way, and we repeat the same for the other side. And now we need to take one of the D pieces from the main fabric, and what we need to do is turn this left side upwards, so this is the left side, and place this with the right side on top of it. Align the top together and pin it in the place. The D piece should align perfectly as well to the bottom, but for me it doesn't because I don't have the regular zipper foot for my sewing machine, so I used my old foot. That's why there is bigger gap here, but if you have regular zipper foot, you can use that and then there wouldn't be such a huge gap in between here, and the D piece would align as well. Anyhow, the step it's the same. What you need to do is stitch all the way here and here. Since I have gap in between here, I will just stitch all the way here and also here to close it up. Make sure when you stitch right next to the head of the zipper. Now we need to take one of the S pieces, which is gonna be the side. What we need to do is transfer these squares precisely on top of the S. What I will do is cut here with the scissors, cut out the square, do the same for the other side. Then with the pins, I will transfer the squares on top of the fabric. Now that we cut out the squares, we can use pins to mark beginning of the square and the end, or you can use the designer chalk. So now that we put the pins here to know exactly where is the square, we can remove carefully. And now we need to take the side pocket that we worked on before, and we need to place the top edge right where we put the first pins. Kind of put it in the middle, that it goes over the pins we just put, kind of like this. And once again, since I didn't have the regular zipper foot for my sewing machine, the gap is here bigger, so that's why this don't align, but technically it should align perfectly to the edge of the S-piece. We put it here and we pin it in the place. Now we can cut off extra edge of the zipper and also the beginnings. Now we need to take 95 centimeters long strap of this, and what we need to do is perfectly place it on top so it completely covers the open edges of the pocket, and it has to align with the edge of the S-piece. And do exactly the same the other side, and make sure here it creates smooth loop so it's not twisted or anything, and pin it into place. After you have pinned the belt into place, what we need to do now is stitch on one side very close to the edge up till top of the pocket. Go here and do exactly the same here, and create cross stitch here just to really secure the corner, and do exactly the same of the other side. Just stitched the belt together to the bag. As you can see, the pocket is secured also on this side, and we did cross stitching here. You can see it from the other side. Now let's cut off extra remaining fabric from the bottom. So here's the other S piece from the main fabric, and once again we need to transfer the squares onto the fabric. So now what you need to do is take the A piece that we worked on previously and fold it just as so. Fold it until it goes till half of the square, so it fits here, and the same on the other side, so it don't go over. Take your time to really getting it the way you want it to be, and you kind of fold it like this. So from the long piece, you fold it like this. I took a time to get it exactly the way I wanted. So it just don't for now lose its placement. You can pin it just to keep it the way we want it for now. Kind of like this, so it don't lose its shape. And what we need to do now is place it here, so the beginning has to align with the beginning of the square, also here. And once again we need to take the belt of 95 centimeters and pin it in the place. Now that you have pinned the belt in the place, once again you need to stitch here, 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 and do the crossing here, and repeat the same on the other side. So we just finished stitching the belt to the bag, did the crossing as well at the top, and we did the same for the other side as well. Now we need to take the B piece that we cut from the main fabric. What we need to do is take two side pieces that we worked on previously and the beginnings of the pockets, the ends. We need to place right sides of the fabric together and pin it together here, and do the same with the other S piece, but from the other side. Place it right sides together, pin it here, and stitch it with the regular sewing machine stitch. Now go ahead with the sewing machine, regular stitch, stitch all the way here, and do exactly the same here. So this is how it should look like after this step is complete. So now we can take out the pins from the A pocket piece. This is how it should look like. What we need to do now is take the zipper, mine is 70 centimeters long because my local shop didn't have shorter, but 50 centimeters long works just as fine, or you can use longer one and then cut it off later on. So the side of the gym bag, right side of fabric is facing us, and for the zipper, we open it up, and left side of the zipper is facing us. And what we need to do is pin it to the side of the bag, just as so, and again 1 centimeter away from the side, the zipper beginning tooth. Just to check if you have pinned the zipper correctly, you can close it up and see if this is the way you want it to be. Now what we need to do is go ahead with the sewing machine regular stitch, stitch all the way here as close as possible to the zipper teeth. Now we stitch the zipper to one side. What we need to do now is take the interlining that we worked on previously, place it with the left side facing us, and this is with the right side facing us. Align it, pin it, and stitch it with a regular sewing machine stitch. Just as so, and it should look like this. Now we can go ahead with the sewing machine and stitch all the way here. I have folded the gym bag inwards, as you can see, and now we need to pin the zipper to the other side of the main fabric here. Also 1 centimeter, the beginning away from the side. If you like, again, you can close the zipper and see if that's how you want it to be. And go ahead with the sewing machine and stitch all the way here. Just stitch the zipper into place, and what we need to do now is take the other side. So the left side of the interlining is facing us. Place it here and pin it in place and stitch it with sewing machine. We just finished stitching the main big zipper. What we need to do now is turn it right side out. What you can go ahead and do now is stitch very close to the edge of the main fabric to really secure the main fabric and interlining into place, and repeat the same also for the other side. Now we need to take the D pieces that we cut out from the interlining fabric. There's 2 of those. 1 D piece from the main fabric. And this side pocket we worked on previously. Now what we need to do is place the left sides facing each other. And the same here. Align the top. And whatever is left off here, you can cut it off. And stitch around very close to the edge, like not 1 centimeter seam allowance, but as close as possible all around it. And the same here. And then cut off the extra zipper. So we just attached interlining fabric to the main. And we did the same here. It don't have to be perfect, just do it as close as possible to the edges. Now we will cut off here the extra fabric. And we'll cut off the zipper. Now what you need to do is take this belt. Each is 11 centimeters long, so it's 11 centimeters and 11. And you need to take these loops and put them inside, close them up, and directly try to put them into the middle and pin them into the place. And now go ahead with the sewing machine and stitch it many times into the place, but do it as close as possible to the edge, and repeat the same for the other as well. Now what you need to do, here is our bag. As you can see, I have opened up the zipper. This is the inside and that is the outside. So with the inside interlining fabric facing us, we need to take one of the sides, it don't matter which one. What we need to do is start pinning it here into the place. So the bottom don't align with the bottom up here. That's how the design is made. So just make sure you find the middle and you start pinning all the way it to the bag. Once you have pinned in place the side, this is how it should look like. Here the zipper has to align as well. Take your time to really pin everything in place. This is, I believe, the most difficult part. And repeat exactly the same with the other side. After you have pinned as well the other side, you have done it on the both sides, you can close the zipper and cut off the extra. Now what you need to do, carefully stitch all around here with the regular sewing machine stitch and do exactly the same on the other side. Really make sure you don't leave anything behind and you stitch it very well. If you need, you can stitch even 2 centimeter wide seam allowance. After you have stitched everything in the place on both sides, what you need to do is carefully cut off all the extra seam allowance After you have cut off the seam allowance as much as you can carefully, what you need to do is take this bow and you need to start stitching from one side all around. Make sure it's covering all the ugly seam all around. And then after you've stitched it from one side, you fold it over and you stitch it from the other side. Really take your time to do this all around for both sides. What I suggest doing is firstly stitch the bow here till the ends and then do the bottom separately. Now that you have finished the sides, you can turn the bag right side out. What we need to do now is with the hand stitch by your hand, you can stitch here all these 3 layers together so the pocket just stands the way it's supposed to stand. Now we will be working on creating the belt. We have this belt in 130 centimeters, and what we need to do is take one of the opened sides and we need to take the slider and we need to go through one side and then go through the other side, and we need to fold inwards the raw side of the belt and we need to stitch here. We just stitched the slider. Now what we need to do is take one of these and slide it through the open side. Go back to this and make sure the belt it's not twisted. And the raw side, put through the slider sides, one side and the other side. Now you need to pull the belt. And this will be the adjustable part. What we need to do now with the other raw side is put this through and repeat the step. Fold the raw edge inwards and stitch here. Just completed the belt. Now what we need to do is just attach it to the bag. And we're done. We have finished the beautiful gym bag.